So come to next standard SA 505 external confirmation. External confirmation. So we'll straight away, no time pass, straight away let's jump to important points. First of all, what do you mean by external confirmation request? And there are two types of external confirmation request. One is positive external confirmation request and second one is negative confirmation request. So what is the difference between these two, positive and negative? Fatafat, anyone? Speak up, parts. Yes.
Whenever the confirming party responds whether yes or no, or in negative confirmation, only if the party disagrees.
The party will respond only when the party disagrees, right? Correct. So if suppose I give external confirmation to Sagar and I tell him that okay, 1 crore is due from you. So when are you going to pay Sagar, right? So 1 crore is due from Sagar and Sagar will have to respond in the case of positive external confirmation request. That means what? In the case of positive confirmation request, Sagar will have to respond irrespective of the fact that actual 1 crore is due or less than that or more than that, whatever be the case. That means if there is any exception to the confirmation amount, then also he will have to communicate. And further, if there is no exception, then also he'll confirm that yes, sir, correct, you are correct. I'll have to give 1 crore to you. Similarly, in negative confirmation, Sagar will not respond to me if he feels that no, 1 crore is only the amount which the sir has asked me for confirming the same, and therefore since it is the same in the negative confirmation request, we are not required to confirm back, reply back if we are satisfied with the confirmation amount. However, where there is any sort of exception or deviation, then you will have to communicate with the auditor. I said, okay. So external confirmation request is what? Confirmation from the third party, from the external party, third parties, confirming on upon the certain substantive audit evidences that we have already obtained. Or you can just rely on certainly or completely on the external confirmation request also, because they are in their own a sufficient appropriate audit evidence as well. Unless or I could say unlikely or unlike written representation, where written representation is not sufficient or appropriate audit evidence on its own. However, external confirmation, the confirmation with you, with not with the management. If you're obtaining confirmation, management representation or any sort of writing communication with the management, then that will fall in SA 580. 505, we are talking about what? Confirming from the third party, not from the entity, not from the management of the entity, not from the TCWG entity of the entity, rather what? Third party. So positive confirmation request and negative confirmation request, I hope you are very much clear, because this can be asked in exam. Any doubt in here? Because we are going to also see related concepts with respect to these two, positive and negative confirmation request. Any doubt? Else we'll move to what? Areas where external confirmation may be obtained.
So
Yeah.
we have to mention in the confirmation like हम आपसे पॉजिटिव कंफर्मेशन मांग रहे हैं, नेगेटिव कंफर्मेशन
So
मांग
the
रहे हैं.
language of the confirmation, the way that you will design the confirmation, or the way you are going to write in the confirmation, the content of the external confirmation will be such that it will reflect whether it's a positive confirmation request or negative confirmation request. So these are just the terminologies. However, the way the content is drafted as such that will show that okay, you are required to confirm whether this amount is there in your books or not. If that is the case, then that will be a positive confirmation request, right? You are required to perform. And then if at all the confirmation content says that you are required to confirm in case there is any exception or deviation from the amount that we are trying to confirm it from you, then only they will confirm, right? Then only they will confirm when there is an exception or deviation, because we have drafted as such, and therefore that will be a negative confirmation request.
Okay, sir.
Fine. Now areas where external confirmation may be obtained. So these are very simple. All the balance sheet items you can think of, all balance sheet items you can whatever you can think of, there's all the areas you can obtain what? This external confirmation. So balance with bank, cash and bank balance, cash and bank balance, account receivable, trade receivable, accounts payable, trade payables, right? Then inventory. So we are now dealing with what? These three. are my current assets, right? So we first of all started with liquid assets, then we went to current assets, and now we are for PPE, that is fixed assets. Property title deed held by third parties. So definitely you should obtain external confirmation from the third party whether the title is proper or not, whether the title is being still now valid or not, whatever be the case. And then investments purchased but delivery not taken. So you have taken up the investment but delivery you have not taken. So again you will have to confirm from the custodial organization. So here it could be what, NSDL, CDSL. You have to confirm from them that where you have, if suppose you have taken the shares investment, whatever be the case, you have investment you have purchased but delivery you have not taken. So this is again, investment is a long term assets, right? Then loan from these are now starts with what, liabilities. Now starts with liabilities or terms of agreement or transaction with third parties. All these transaction with third parties, loans, liabilities, borrowing, deposits, everything you can take external confirmation from the deposit holder, from the borrowers, right? From the fixed asset with whom the third party, with the third party with whom the fixed asset has been kept, inventory, account receivable, account payable, bank balance, cash balance. These all what you can do perform external confirmation. Now important, very important, external confirmation procedure. So till now any doubt you can just go through the same again, positive, negative, and then areas where external confirmation may be obtained. We'll start with confirmation procedure in just 2 minutes because this is very important from this standards point of view. So till now any doubt? Yeah. So external confirmation procedures. So these are divided into 4 points. That means what procedure you have to perform to obtain external confirmation. So first of all, you have to determine na, what information you want to confirm, right? So is it an like what's the exact information? Is it account receivable, account payable, bank balance? What is the exact information that you want to confirm? First of all, you have to decide that. Then you have to select an appropriate third party for the particular information, whatever you have selected. So example, you selected bank balance, cash bank balance. So then you have to get the external confirmation from the bankers of the entity, right? You will contact to the bankers of the entity. Similarly, if you selected the information as account receivable, then you will go to debtors of the entity. So then you will select the appropriate party, appropriate, very important, appropriate, who will actually give you the confirmation, right? Because this confirmation is kind of a procedural task which any organization can also find it a bit tedious. That we, okay, fine, now the confirmation has come, we have to check in our books of account, yes, is it telling or not, then sign and then again send the same. So all this everything could be tedious. So you have to first of all select appropriate third party, confirming party, and then you will design the confirmation request. Designing of the confirmation request, very important, because a separate question comes that asks you what factors to be considered while designing confirmation request. So what factors you will consider when you are designing, when you are actually designing the confirmation request? So very simple. First of all, assertion that you are addressing, is it a balance sheet item? That means account balance level. Account balance level का assertion है क्या? Or is it class of transaction? If it's account balance, then the factors that you are going to consider here will be what? You are going to write as at March 2023. The balance in our books is this, and will like you to confirm the same, right? Assertions being addressed. What is the assertion? Is it balance sheet item? Is it revenue item? So revenue will write what, revenue throughout the year, during the year, for the period ended March 2023, right? This, so wording will change, factors will change, and some or the other things will also change based on the assertions that you are trying to address. Is it a balance sheet level item or a profit and loss level item? Is it a AOB, account balance level, or class of transaction item? Similarly, you'll see that is you do you have any similar prior experience where you have contained external confirmation communicated same with the parties, third parties of the entity, right? And then you will also check with the method of communication. Are we going to mail? Are we going to post? What exactly are we going to perform? How exactly are we going to obtain the external confirmation? Then specific identified ROMM. Is there any specifically identified risk of material misstatement which you have found, and now you like to that include that as well in your confirmation request, thereby specifically highlighting any sort of risk of material misstatement, and therefore we require your confirmation at the earliest. So whatever you can think of, these factors also affect your what, confirmation request. Designing, we are learning what now, डिजाइन ऑफ द कंफर्मेशन रिक्वेस्ट. डिजाइन के अंदर We are seeing what factors to be considered. What and how exactly you are you going to design your confirmation request. And then management authorization is there or not, encouragement to confirming party to respond to the auditor, ability of the confirming party to provide or confirm the requested information. That means whether he will be able to provide or not, because some of the time there could be the case where he is not even able to confirm. So why are we just communicating with them if they are not able to confirm it? And then layout and presentation of the request. So what exactly will be the layout of the presentation, request presentation, layout and presentation of the request. And lastly, D point, that is fourth point, after we have designed the confirmation request, after everything has been done with respect to designing, lastly we will come at what? Sending the request to the third parties. And also we have to follow up. So these factors ना, factors वाला जो क्वेश्चन है ना, factors affecting design of external confirmation, you can learn like this. Ashwin P करते करते MC गाली दिया. Again रक्षा मंत्री told her to and told him to encourage. Now, do you know Raksha Mantri of Ashwin? Same like Virat Kohli. Virat Kohli Raksha Mantri we knew was Anushka Sharma, but here Ashwin, nobody is aware about Ashwin Raksha Mantri, right? So Ashwin was normally also doing Pui, but with Kohli he also started abusing what? MC. And then Raksha Mantri encouraged, encouraged, encouraged her, encouraged him. Sorry, encouraged him and said that okay, you have the ability, ability, so you have, just pay focus on whatever I am focusing. You have the ability, encouraged him to say that you have the ability, but you have to change your layout and presentation. So if you have seen that how Ashwin bowls like jalebi, so he performs a jalebi sort of test before he actually delivers the right ball. So before that you have to change what your layout and presentation. That is what the Raksha Mantri has to say. Encouraged him and said that okay, you have the ability, but you have to change the layout and presentation, and you will get all the points. P means what? Prior experience. Prior experience. MC with what? Here it's not matters of complexity, it is what? Methods of communication. And then Raksha Mantri, same RM is what? ROMM, risk of material misstatement. Encourage, so you will write that they should be encouraged now within their self, they should be encouraged to respond to the external confirming party, third party. They should be encouraged within, encouragement to confirming party. Then ability, you have the ability, so ability of the ability of the confirming party to provide or confirm requested information. And then layout or presentation you have to change, so layout and presentation of the request. Last 2 points we are done. Any doubt? So which answer do you recall from this trick? Do you recall the answer that we learned? Quickly tell me fast. Which answer, other answer also we learned through this kind of same, however there it was Kohli, here it's Ashwin. Yeah, tell me.
Nature timing extend of audit procedures to perform when we have obtained audit evidence using management expert.
Right, so matters that will affect the NTE of audit procedures in case you are using the work of management expert, right? So pay attention. I told you last time also that okay, you will find you will be able to recall the answer, entire answer you will be able to retain. Can't we retain this story, simple story, and relate it to the entire answer? It's very easy. However, the question needs to be very importantly judged, and remember the same, that the answer to this question is that, right?
So please explain it again. Network issue हो गया था.
See, they are telling you
Yeah.
to design the confirmation request. Okay, so confirmation request, how exactly are you going to design? Are you going to write that okay, confirm this amount which stands as at March 2023, or are you going to say that okay, confirm the amount which which stood for the year ended March 2023, for the year ended FY23? How exactly, what will be your content? How exactly are you going to design? That will depend first of all assertions, right? If it's a account balance item, then you will going to write what? As at March 2023. If it's a class of transaction item, then you are going to write what? For the year ended, for the period ended, right? If it's a quarterly. Similarly, what prior experience do you already possess with respect to method of this communication, or with respect to designing of the external confirmation request? How often have you confirmed this designing? or how often have you designed the confirmation request? Similarly, is what exactly are you going to communicate? How exactly are you going to communicate? Are you going to communicate through email? Are you going to communicate through letter of post, speed post, whatever it could be the case? So how exactly are you going to communicate? That is also very very important to design your confirmation request. Then is there any ROMM which is there in the entity? So if there is a ROMM, then you are going to design accordingly, right? If the specific identified risk of material misstatement is there, then definitely you are going to be worried and therefore design accordingly your external confirmation request. Similarly, encouragement to confirming party to respond to the order, that means there should be some encouragement in the front of our party, that in the front of us, that means in the third party, there should be some encouragement for them to communicate with us, right? And the ability should also be there, not just the encouragement, but they should also be able to confirm the third party. They should be able to confirm party to provide confirmation request, layout and presentation, what exactly how you going to lay out, that means what presentation, how exactly are you going to present, or what will be your layout, right? So all this will affect your what external confirmation request, designing. Clear?
Clear, sir.
Now come to next important question, very very important question. Management is now refusing to allow the auditor to send a confirmation request. So what do you think management, if they are refusing to allow the auditor to send a confirmation request, what do you think will now be the situation with the entity, with the management is not allowing us to get the external confirmation request? हाँ, बोलो फटाफट,
So
if they are refusing.
we'll ask the reason from the management why he is denying us.
Correct. First of all, you'll ask the reason, but then after that, think more.
Alternate procedure, sir.
Alternative procedure, yes, definitely you will then perform what alternative procedure, because we have already discussed, right, this regarding in previous standard also we have discussed. If suppose you are not able to contact with the daters of the entity, for example, then definitely most probably the daters maturity will be within 60 to 90 days, right? And anyway we are going to perform our audit in the month of suppose May, June, July, after the completion of the 60 days. So we can go through the books of accounts at for the time when we are doing the audit. We can just check in the books of account whether there is any entry with respect to daters, whether there is any inflow from the daters. If there is an inflow, that will confirm what, that will confirm the data amount which is standing at the period end, that means it is standing as at 31st March. I hope everyone is sure, we have discussed this a lot of time. So that is what they are saying. First of all, you have to inquire, then perform your alternative audit procedure, and similarly determine what is exactly your ROMM. However, after this also you have to be a bit more skeptical, right? That means what, since management is refusing, so don't you think there could be an element of fraud involved here? Management is not allowing for us to communicate with the debtor. They are saying that fine, don't worry, we can communicate it for you, and then accordingly provide you with what external confirmation request. Anyway, doesn't matter how exactly are they rejecting our external confirmation request, the essence is that they are refusing to allow the auditor to send a confirmation. Don't you think there could be an element of risk of fraud? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Right? So risk of fraud is particularly important here, and particularly also the ROMM that you have already assessed. So you had assessed ROMM at certain level, suppose. Now you think that okay, management integrity is not there. They are refusing to allow us to get the external confirmation request. Then that could also revise your ROMM for you to determine your further audit procedure in more detailed, right? The more detailed FAP will be there now, because management is refusing us for or allowing the auditor to obtain the external confirmation request. So there could be the two types of risk. One is ROMM and the other is ROF, risk of fraud. ROMM, risk of fraud. And the first point was inquiry as to why. Reasons and seek evidence as to their validity and reasonableness of the auditor. So again, the same trick. I told you two times we will come across this trick. The first one being just now today what we learn in the case of in the claims and litigation section in SA 501, and similarly the second IRR is here. That means where management is refusing. So just remember inquiry. I for inquiry with the management. And R is here is what? Ramam. Correct. And I've already told you, if you are not able to perform any sort of audit procedure, then you should definitely perform alternative audit procedure. And if you are not able to obtain PSI from performing alternative audit procedure, that means you have performed AAP. AAP means what? Alternative audit procedure. You have performed AAP, but still now you are not able to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence. Then you can say that if management refusal appears to be unreasonable and auditor is not able to obtain evidence from alternative procedure, then you can communicate with the TCWG as per SA 260 and evaluate their effect in accordance with SA 705. What exactly are you going to now opine? However, this is also an important line which they generally write in the suggested answer also, that a refusal by the management to allow the auditor to send a confirmation request is a limitation, right? It's a limitation that you are not able to obtain PSI and therefore you will disclaim your opinion as per SA 705. Disclaimer of opinion. I told you, if you are not able to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence, however, you feel that the misstatement could be material or could be pervasive, then you will simply do what? Yeah, simply do what? Modify the opinion in accordance with SA 705. A refusal by management to allow the auditor to send a confirmation request is a limitation on the audit. And similarly, generally what management says that okay, fine, there is a legal dispute which is going, an ongoing negotiation with the intended confirming party, so resolution of which may be affected by an untimely confirmation request. So they are saying that okay, fine, we might not, you might not be able to obtain the confirmation from the third party on a timely basis because of certain disputes among us. There is certain disputes amongst us which is happening right now. So generally this is the reason which they generally tend to give. But yeah, definitely you have to be wary of risk of material misstatement, assess the ROMM, assess the risk of fraud, everything have to be now revised. So write the entire points, everything has to be there right now. Go through them again and feed into your mind. Just go through the question just beside you, never print limited wala, and then go through the answer once again. I want it to be printed in your brains right now. Then we'll move on to next question. So you have today and tomorrow. Okay, today and tomorrow you have today and tomorrow. So on Saturday, chapter 3 and chapter 4 test will be there. So fatafat se give time to them. Chapter 3 you will require at least 2 to 3 hours to revise, and you have to revise it properly. I want you to revise properly because question I believe can be asked from chapter 3 as compared to chapter 2. And similarly, chapter 4, I told you, so important chapter, right? Every time they have asked for a question or 5 mark question is definitely from this chapter. And it's a small chapter, if you see. As compared to other chapters, bank audit chapter is almost like 10 times of this automated environment. The automated environment, if it's for 6-7 pages, so it would be around 50 pages. We have to go through the same again, but however, since this is a small chapter covering large weightage as compared to the chapter size, then you should definitely.
Audio problem, sir.
Yeah, so I was saying that chapter 4 is very important chapter as compared to number of pages or the content or the size of the chapter that we have covered. The marks are very more. So 5 to 6 marks definitely it will come from chapter 4, and you should pay special focus to each and every line. Every word should be clear to you, why this point is there, why this point is not there, what is the meaning, everything. If at all any doubt, you can ask again or go through the lecture, whatever, go through the backup, or you can ask again, doesn't matter. But very important chapter. I don't want to leave even a single mark in this chapter, right? So go through the chapter entirely sufficiently and then give the test. Seriously prepare for this chapter 3 and chapter 4. It could weight around 10 marks easily for your attempt. Chapter 3 and chapter 4 can come for 10 marks at least. Now come to exception occurs. Now, what do you mean by exception? Just now I told you what the information that I required from the Sagar, right? I told Sagar to confirm 1 crore. Now if suppose Sagar wants me to, out of his affection, out of his love, he wants to give me 1 crore 20 lakhs, right? Not out of his love or affection, but according to his books, it's actually what, 1 crore 20 lakhs. So now it's an exception, deviation from what we tried to confirm, the information what we requested, and the information that he is confirming. If there is any deviation in that, then that we call it as what, exception. So exception is a response that indicates a difference between information that you requested to be confirmed and information which is being provided by the confirming party. There is any difference, then that is called as an exception. We have to do what, we have to investigate wherever there is an exception. So kind of same procedure that we'll also perform in SA 520. SA 520 we do what, we perform ratio analysis, we perform trend analysis, seeing the why the past is not, so the, like example, legal expense account, why it was 25,000 in the last year but 25 lakhs in the current year. So kind of these how we do what, analytical procedures. So there also, if there is any deviation from based on our expectation, we expect certain information, right? Also we expect or see that okay fine, this expenditure should be this much, but if suppose there is any exception or deviation, then we do what, investigate further into that particular matter. Now limited use of external or negative confirmation. Negative confirmation, why do you think there will be a limited use of, first of all tell me, limited use of negative confirmation? We are going to see there could be a limited use of negative confirmation request, but first question is
Because
why?
बिकॉज़ सर इसमें हम ओनली जब हम नेगेटिव होता है तभी बताते हैं और
जब हम क्या
पॉजिटिव में
होते
हम
हैं,
बोथ साइड में बताते हैं। हमें नेगेटिव बोलना होता है तब बताते हैं।
नेगेटिव बोलना होता है मतलब,
लाइक वर्डिंग्स मुझे याद नहीं आ रही। पॉजिटिव में हम बोथ बोथ केसेस में बताते हैं
राइट,
और
बट नेगेटिव में वी ओनली रिस्पॉन्ड व्हेन देयर इज एनी एक्सेप्शन, राइट? अगर कुछ एक्सेप्शन आ रहा है फ्रॉम द इंफॉर्मेशन दैट इज बीइंग रिक्वेस्टेड, इफ देयर इज एनी एक्सेप्शन, देन ओनली द कंफर्मिंग पार्टी विल कंफर्म। सो
ओके सर।
you cannot use negative confirmation in everywhere, because as Kapil said just now, what, that it's not a persuasive audit evidence. You cannot be persuaded from this evidence that fine, we sent out the negative confirmation request, now Sagar didn't respond, so we'll assume that fine, I sent out 1 crore information to be requested to be confirmed, and since Sagar didn't respond, so I'll assume that 1 crore will be there. Now 1 crore could be a material amount for me, right? It could not be material amount for Ambani, but it could be material for me. And if it's a material, then I cannot simply use negative confirmation request, I could have easily used positive as well, right? So when can you use, then when can you use limited negative confirmation request? Because we are studying what, there is a limited usage of negative confirmation request, however there is usage, limited usage, but usage is there, right? So where can we use the negative confirmation request, where can we use limited? So if the following conditions are present, if and only when all of the following, just remember all of the following conditions are present, then you can use what, negative confirmation request. So first is low ROMM. You can just remember it like this: low. First is if the risk is not that much high. So ROMM is not that much high. Then you can find, okay, determine that fine, it's not that much material, or the misstatement that we might incur in this assertion could not be that much material. So ROMM is less, ROMM is low ROMM, and there could be low exception rate. That means what you found that okay fine, if I'm confirming 1 crore, I definitely know that 1 crore is generally being confirmed, or whatever I communicate through the Sagar generally confirms to me. So I kind of had an average of no exception or zero exception till now with Sagar. So it's a low exception rate. And similarly, low items, low number of items or account balance or transaction, low transactions, low number of transaction, low amount of transactions. So in rupee terms, you will see that fine, it's a very normal 1 rupee, 10 rupee, 1000 rupee, 10,000, 1 lakh. However, there are a very large number of these small items. So in number wise, you will see that okay, it's large. So we cannot ask, or we cannot ask for the same, right? That confirm the balances for all such balances which are comprising around 1000, 2000, whatever be the case, right? So we cannot just simply ask. So in that case also, you can use what, negative confirmation request, whereby you send the confirmation request and assume that zero exception if no response is being received back. So low risk of material misstatement, low ROMM, and low exception rate, and again low amount of homogeneous items, or low amount but a large number. So 2000, you have around, say, suppose 900 entries of 2000, 900 daters, could be 2000 to 5000, 2000 to 10,000, say. So you cannot simply assume that fine, I'll ask for or all the daters, the confirmation request, then I'll evaluate whether they confirm the same or not. You can simply do what? Send the negative confirmation request and assume that, okay, fine, if they do not confirm the same, I'll take it as 2000, 5000, whatever be the case for the third party. And then lastly, you are not aware of any sort of certain circumstances that could cause recipient not to use negative confirmation. So you are not aware about any sort of information like that. Therefore, you will not be you can use what? Limited negative confirmation request. These are the 4 cases that you have to comply with. All the condition has to be complied with in case you want to confirm through negative confirmation request. Clear? Yes or no? Now come to where effects of positive confirmation request. So effects of positive confirmation request, you will see a positive external confirmation request asks the confirming party to reply to the auditor in all cases. Yes, right. We saw this. We have seen this, that in the case of positive confirmation request, we generally do what? We ask the confirming party to confirm the same, whether he agrees or disagrees. Doesn't matter. He has to confirm in all cases, either by indicating the confirming party's agreement or disagreement, or disagreement, asking the confirming party to provide the information. Now they say that a response to a positive confirmation request ordinarily is expected to provide reliable audit evidence as compared to negative confirmation request. Negative confirmation request, as Kapil told us, right? So Kapil told us that it's not going to provide us with persuasive audit evidence. You cannot be persuaded. But however, from the external positive confirmation request, you can be persuaded. It is much more reliable audit evidence. Much more reliable audit evidence as compared to negative confirmation. There is some risk. What could be the risk? What could be the risk? There is some risk. What could be the risk? Risk could be the articles like Nikita. So Nikita generally is very lazy. Now principal told her to, okay, fine, fatafat se confirm karo and reply back to the confirming parties the requested information. Now Nikita is very lazy. Now she arrived at the office in morning 10:30 and she is thinking that, okay, I have so much of work involved. Let's not waste time in this. I'll simply do what? Confirm the same without even going through or opening the books of account. Without even opening the accounting software, she just did what? All the confirmation she made. So it could be the case, there is a risk that because of the lethargic nature of Nikita, because of the laziness, there could be a case may reply to the confirmation request without verifying that the information is correct or not, right? So this could be one of the risks. Auditor can, however, me as an auditor, I asked information from Nikita. I could, however, reduce the risk. This risk I could reduce it by giving what? By giving blank confirmation. I can reduce this risk by giving what? Blank confirmation request. Now, what do you mean by blank confirmation request? What do you mean by blank confirmation request? So I already know that, fine, I know that Nikita won't be verifying the books of account and I need to confirm with the same with her, right? So I tell Nikita to fill the amount. I'll tell that data as at 31st March 2023 stands at dash to be confirmed by you. So now Nikita will have to verify in the books of accounts and accordingly fill in the figure, right? So this is called as what? Blank confirmation. Blank confirmation request. Blank confirmation. That do not state the amount on the confirmation request and we ask the confirming party only to fill in the amount or furnish the other information. On the other hand, again, I did this with Nikita, and Nikita is next level lazy. Nikita is next level lazy. Now she is not at all responding. She's not at all responding. She is saying that, am I looking like so much free to you? So she is next level lazy, and now this could lead to what? Low response rate. Response rate has now fallen if I start doing what? Blank confirmation. So you can relate to Nikita and try to learn what? A positive external confirmation request asks the confirming party to reply to the auditor in all cases, whether you are agreeing or not agreeing, doesn't matter. You have to reply to provide with the requested information. However, a response generally is expected, but it could be a risk. There could be certain risk that confirming party may not reply or may reply, however, with no verification in the books of account. So for that, I did what I did, followed up with Nikita and told her to fill in the amount. I gave her blank confirmation request. This time I gave her blank confirmation request and I told her to fill in the amount and then give it to me. But then she is next level lazy, and because of this laziness, she rejected all the confirmation to send back to me. So she accepted what, or she chose to not to reply to the confirming parties. So it is lead to what, low response rate. This could lead to low response rate. Now, no response in the case of negative confirmation. Now, like Nikita is not responding to me in the case of negative confirmation. So should I assume that okay, fine, whatever balance that I wanted to confirm, it's correct only? Should I assume it or not? What do you think? In the case of negative confirmation request, no response is being received by me. So should I assume that fine, okay, there will be no exception to the confirmation request information that is being requested? Yeah, tell me na. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes. What do you think, Nikita? No. Why? Mere silence does not amount to acceptance, Dhanlakshmi. You are talking about contract act. Garima is also saying no. Why? Why everyone is saying no? Yes, Nikita, tell me why. बोलो बोलो. हाँ.
So, because if we don't receive any response, it doesn't indicate
Come again, come again. We know what?
the figures are correct because we don't. Sir, if we don't receive the response from the confirming party, it doesn't indicate that the figures are correct because, like, there is no evidence, no, it is correct only. So how can we assume?
But what is the meaning of negative confirmation request, Nikita?
Um, okay, we only in negative confirmation we only reply when we disagree.
Right? When you disagree. So can't I assume that if you are not agreeing or if you are not disagreeing, then you are agreeing in the case of negative confirmation? This is
Yes,
being asked there. No response in the case of negative confirmation, I'm asking.
yes, yes,
So yes or no?
yes, sir. Can you repeat?
Yes, I can assume. Yes, everyone.
Yes,
So I can assume that fine, if there is no response in the case of negative confirmation, this doesn't mean there could be an indication of material misstatement or it's a case of inaccuracy. No, it's not like that. It is a kind of even a confirmation only. It's a kind of confirmation only. The failure to receive any response does not indicate receipt by intended confirming party of confirmation request or verification of accuracy of information contained in the request. Accordingly, failure of confirming party to respond provides significantly less persuasive audit evidence. However, I told you what, these are less persuasive audit evidence as told by Kapil, however, than as compared to positive confirmation request. Therefore, confirming party also be more likely to respond indicating their disagreement with the confirmation request when information is requested. In negative confirmation, definitely when do we exactly get the reply, or confirming parties, when are they more likely to respond? When there is a disagreement, right? When there is a disagreement with confirmation request, when information requested is not in their favor. So they are saying that okay, if suppose you are not receiving information, so generally you will find that this could be treated as a confirmation only. However, however, They are saying that it does not indicate receipt by intended confirming party of confirmation request or verification of accuracy of information contained in the request. That means they are trying to question on the negative confirmation that it necessarily will not, we cannot directly say that fine, it is okay for us to give the evidence that fine, this is the balance as at 31st March 2023. Why? Because first of all they are saying that it does not indicate that intended confirming party who has to respond, right? Nikita, in this case, Nikita, in our case, we cannot confirm that Nikita has received the confirmation request and Nikita has verified the accuracy. We cannot confirm that thing, and therefore in that case, way in that way it's a less persuasive audit evidence, because we cannot just vouch that Nikita has verified the accuracy of the information or Nikita has received the confirmation request that she has to respond. We cannot vouch on those facts, and therefore in that way it's a less persuasive audit evidence. Similarly, what they are saying, that suppose I ask Nikita to send me a detail about whether I require 1 crore or not from her. So it's a confirmation on 1 crore, right? So 1 crore is the amount that I want from Nikita. However, Nikita in her books of account checked and saw that no, to me I have to give 10 crores to sir, 10 crores to sir, just because I missed 1 0. Just because I missed 1 0 in the negative confirmation request, it's showing 1 crore. Now Nikita will not be, obviously Nikita, why will she say that I'll have to give 9 crores more? Now she'll not respond. By not responding, she'll assume that I'll be confirming that okay fine, 1 crore is the amount that I have to receive. So Nikita will not respond, and that is what they are saying in this line also, that generally confirming party are more likely to respond when it's in the favor of them. That means Nikita would have responded when it's like, okay, sorry, I took the wrong example actually. Um, what I wanted to say was, suppose I, instead of 10 crores which I was asking, it's I am asking only for 1 crore. Yeah, right, only. So Nikita will not respond. However, if suppose instead of 10 crores I would have asked for 100 crores to Nikita, then in that case Nikita would definitely responded yes or no. Nikita would have definitely responded that no, it's a exception, it's a deviation. The confirming requested information is not in exactly is tandem with our books of account figures. It's not in tandem with our books of accounts figures, and then she will reply, then she will definitely respond, right or not, Nikita? But in not when the cases when it's not in our favor, when it's not in the Nikita's favor, and less likely to respond otherwise. So therefore, what audit procedure are you exactly going to perform in the cases of non-responsive? So we have generally saw few procedure example they have given. For account receivable, examine specific subsequent cash receipts. I told you this, right? Shipping documentation, sales near the period end. For accounts payable balance, examine subsequent cash disbursement or correspondence from third party other records such as goods received. So for large amount, that is why we are saying what, we cannot use negative confirmation request, because if we don't receive negative confirmation request, it's a less persuasive audit evidence because of two factors. Because of two factors, that we cannot vouch that Nikita has received the confirmation, and we cannot vouch that Nikita has experienced or verified the accuracy of the information. And more likely, more or less, Nikita will respond when it's in her favor and not in when it's in my favor, right? Any doubt? So question, go through right now. I know you, if I give it homework to you, you might not do, right? So go through these two question, at least go through them right now. Fatafat, fatafat. Think and answer first. Think and answer, and then see whether your answer is okay or not. Think of the answer that you are going to seek from the standards on audit. So suppose example, last question, you will see what, the firm also intends to use negative confirmation request. What are the factors to be considered for the same? So factors to be considered for using negative confirmation request. You remember low ROMM, and your low exception rates, low amounts but homogeneous amount, large number of small low amounts but homogeneous amount, and we are not aware about any such circumstances because of which we should not use negative confirmation request. So these were the 4 points, 4 conditions that has to be followed, that has to be seen in all the cases. All condition has to be satisfied. So these are the factors to be considered when designing confirmation request and limited use of negative confirmation request. Okay, so they have not only asked to negative confirmation, but they have also asked positive confirmation are not responded favorably. The firm also intends to use negative confirmation. Auditor wants to use confirmation procedure as audit evidence during the course of audit. So see, they have also written factors to be considered while designing confirmation request. Now this specifically, this you have to keep in your mind. So points like this, the answers like this have you have to keep in mind, right? Because generally what you will feel that okay, limited use of negative confirmation के four conditions लिख दिए ना, that should be suffice. But no, this also you have to write because you are being asked for factors to be considered while designing the confirmation request or while using the negative confirmation request. So I don't know why they have written this answer, but ICI might have written this. That is why I have compiled like this. So ICI might have given in the suggested answer the points with respect to this also. Factors to be considered while designing confirmation request. Go through about two questions and let me know then. Yes, this second question, any doubt?
Sir, in second question, we have it is told that the management has obtained confirmations for the 10 customers. No, it is our responsibility to obtain the confirmations. Because how could we accept their confirmations?
So that is exactly the answer should also be na. That client produced the ledger account of customers and confirmations. The client has produced, right? So that will not be accepted. Auditor will have to get direct confirmation. Indirect confirmation is not acceptable. In SA 505, we have to get direct external confirmations. So what's the answer? Auditor should inquire
Okay.
into the debtor whose dues are outstanding for 5 years or more and why he has not been. So they have written now the auditor should inquire.
So, in
Yeah.
second question, the client already confirmed his balance.
The client
Then
produced ledger accounts of customer and confirmations for top 10 customers. Yeah.
he said debtor. So sorry, debtor had confirmed his balance. और
To whom?
हमें इसमें
Debtors confirmed
yes
to whom?
to auditor
No, where is it written?
नहीं लिखा
They are
हुआ
saying
yes.
ना client ने produce किया है ledger account of customers and confirmations for top 10 customers. So client ने confirmation जो लिया हुआ है वो client produce कर रहा है. So auditor has to directly obtain the confirmation, like Avija told. She is correct only. Auditor, as
Okay,
an
sir.
auditor, we have to directly communicate with the debtors. No intermediary in between, no client in between. Management should not be involved. External confirmation has to be obtained directly. So what is your doubt in regard to this or something else? Sony.
Yes, sir. My doubt is in this.
No, they have said na the client produced ledger account of customers and confirmations for the top 10 customers. So one of the debtor was more than 5 years old, but it had confirmed his balance. So you'll write that um, external confirmation. What do you mean by external confirmation request? First, you will write the definition, and in the definition itself, they say what auditor seeks information from the requested party. Auditor seeks, right? So it has to be the auditor who is seeking the information from the confirming party. So then you will write that in the case client has produced or client seek the information, it's a way of indirect communication and which is not a direct confirmation request. So auditor will have to inquire into the debtor whose dues are outstanding for 5 years or more about his financial inabilities and why he has not paid, reasons behind the same. And since it's more than 5 years now, so you might also have to conclude upon by saying that okay, fine, we got the confirmation or whatever could be the case, but shouldn't we think of writing it off since it's such a long debt? Shouldn't we think of writing it off this debt as bad debts or shouldn't we provide for 100% of these bad debts? So either you should provide for provision for bad debts or also to confirm that it is not a forged confirmation. So that is why they are also talking about forged confirmation, right? Because this is not a confirmation which you are receiving from directly from the debtor. This is what client is bringing it to you. So you should check that is it a forged confirmation or not. Thereby
So,
my yeah.
but the auditor is acquiring the confirmation directly. Now, then why it is required for the client to provide us with confirmation of forced confirmation?
What come again?
I am saying that the auditor is required to confirm directly from the third party or the customers, then why it is required for the client to confirm us that it is not a forced confirmation?
Client will not confirm that it's not a forced confirmation. We have to see whether it's a forced confirmation or not. Why? Because in this question, we have not obtained directly now. Client has produced us the confirmations. What client might have obtained from the debtors. So they are not. They, you can also say what, refusing to allow to communicate with the debtors. So we are not directly communicating with the debtors. We are being provided the confirmations from the management. In this case, in the question they have given, the client produced ledger accounts of customers and confirmation for the top 10 customers. In this case, that is happening. फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन क्लियर है? सेकंड क्वेश्चन भी अभी भी कोई डाउट है? इट्स नो इश्यू. Still any doubt? Since this is the platform, you have to clear all your doubts. First question. Right, so first question was with respect to, okay, no confirmation available. So no confirmation available, then you can simply resort to this point. You can say alternative audit procedure can be should be performed. Still not possible, then still not able to obtain SAI from alternative audit procedure, then you can qualify the same. Correct. You can visit. You can go through the. I have written all the conclusions here. If you want, you can just go through the answers in the compiler once. But that is more or less, that is exact, this much only the answer would be. I remember this particularly. So the answer is with respect to this only. This is the main. Else they have repeated the question and tried to give the general answer. What is external confirmation? Then auditor needs to get direct confirmation request, not the client. Now come to Fatak se ऐसे 510. So let's try to quickly finish it off in 15-20 minutes. This is not a big standards. So I have told you already, what do you mean by initial audit engagement? Do you remember? What do you mean by initial audit engagements? Fatafat, fatafat.
So either we are the first auditor of the client or the client has sorry applying for the audit first time.
Right. So we are doing the audit for the first time, or client is getting its books of account audited for the first time. In both the cases, we are being auditing for the first time, right, for this client. So objective here is objective. What is the objective of the standard? For opening balances, now since this is the first client or the first time that we are auditing this client, we have to first upon go through the opening balances of the entity. Opening balances, whether it contains any misstatement which could materially affect my current period financial statement. So if I am being appointed for financial year 2023, I'll go through opening statement, opening balances as on 1st April 2022 and see whether it could affect my FY23 figures. If there is any misstatement in the opening balance which could also affect my FY23 figures. Similarly, appropriate account policy reflected in the opening balance have been consistently applied in the current period financial statement, or changes in the accounting policies are properly accounted for and adequately presented and disclosed in accordance with the applicable FRF. So not only you have to see go through for misstatements in the first point, your objective is also for seeing the accounting policy which is being followed in the opening balances, right? So misstatements also you have to look for. You have to also look for whether the accounting policies which have been followed are consistent or not. Consistent or not. Okay, that means whatever accounting policy you followed in the 1st April 2022, the same policies is being applied right now at the financial year end or not. And if not, then what is the reason for changing accounting policies, and adequately P&D has happened or not. Presentation disclosure has to happen for any sort of change in accounting policy. Now, initial audit engagement. What is initial audit engagement? We already gone through. What do you mean by opening balances? They exist at the beginning of the period. Any balance which exists at the beginning of the period. So generally, they are what? They are brought forward from the closing of the previous year. right? So closing period of previous year will brought forward those figures that will become what our beginning opening period opening balances. And it also include matters requiring disclosure. So it not only includes financial statement items, right? Line item FSLI. It not only includes financial statement line items, but it also includes notes to account disclosures that exist at the beginning of the period, such as contingencies, commitments, notes, everything will come into opening balances. Now, as an auditor, what procedure are you required to perform? So pay attention. This is the most important part of this SA 510. What does it say? The auditor will read most recent financial statement. So first of all, you'll pick up last year financial statement. You'll read the entire financial statement, right? And also you'll pick up the predecessor auditor's report. You'll get to know what exactly were the auditor's opinion in the last year financial statement, or how exactly last year financial statement looks like. And similarly, then you will tally with what opening balances, whatever last year balances were brought forward for the current year, you will tally with that. So the auditor shall read most recent financial statement, if any, and predecessor auditors report thereon, and for information relevant to opening balances, including disclosures. So everything you have to go through, all the disclosure, opening balances, auditors report, financial statement, everything you have to go for, right? And then you have to obtain SAI about whether the opening balance contain any sort of misstatement which could affect my current period financial statement. That exactly is our objective, right? In our standard objective of SA 510, which what is our objective? To identify any misstatement which could be there in the opening balances that might affect my current period financial statement. Current period financial statement. Now determine whether prior period's closing balances correctly brought forward or not. So I told you opening balances will be what? Prior period, closing big figure. So closing figure have been correctly brought forward or not, that we will check first of all, right? Then any adjustment have been disclosed as prior period, those adjustment, those disclosures, everything has to be seen. Adjustment, disclosure, prior period account balances brought forward हुए कि नहीं properly. Then determine whether the opening balances which we have brought forward reflect the appropriate accounting policies or not. That means last year we suppose example we followed FIFO method of valuation of inventory. So we will check through whether the opening balance also shows the same inventory amount. That means as per FIFO method, or is it changed to weighted average? So is there any change in accounting policy? That means what? Overall, we want to check whether it reflects the appropriate accounting policy or not. Appropriate accounting policy here may be what? As per AS Ind AS, whatever accounting policy they try or they allow you to say. So you cannot go for LIFO. So you have to determine, suppose, let's say example, this entity just came into the purview of accounting standard, right? So before then it was not in the purview of accounting standard, and also this year only it has allowed for them, or they have created their books of account and getting it maintained and getting it audited as well. So this is the first time it is happening. Before that, they used to do what? They used to inventory value the inventory based on LIFO method. However, in the current figure, current year, when we are preparing books of account as per AS, so LIFO method is not allowed, FIFO is only allowed. So in that case, don't you think opening balance will be containing LIFO method, and that will not reflect the application of appropriate accounting policy? Yes or no? So determining whether the opening balances reflect or not the appropriate accounting policies, and also performing one or more of the following. So prior period financial statement, audited financial statement, you have to peruse the copies of audited financial statement. Peruse means what? Go through, read for for your perusal. We say na, when we file for income tax litigation, if you have worked in income tax department, or sort of litigation department in articleship or anywhere where you file for letters appeals litigation, so we say what? For your perusal. That means for your reading and reference. So perusing copies of audited financial statement, if the financial statement, last year financial statement, are audited. Similarly, evaluate whether audit procedure performed in current period provide evidence relevant to the opening balance or not. So whatever procedure you perform, it should provide relevant audit evidence. That is our main objective. Main objective is us to get audit evidence regarding any misstatement in the opening balance that might affect current period financial statement. Similarly, second objective is to go through that whether the opening balances reflect correct accounting policies or not. Clear? Now then, when the auditor is unable to obtain audit evidence that opening balance contain misstatement, sorry, when auditor obtains audit evidence that there is a misstatement in the opening balance, then what? Then perform additional audit procedure. Then perform in circumstances to determine effect in current period financial statement. So this could happen when you obtain certain misstatement in the opening balances, right? And now you have to go much deeper now. You can't simply now rely on the opening balances figure. You have to go much deeper now, go through accounting policies on the opening balances, go through procedure controls implemented last year. You have to go through each and every process in detail now. That means you have to perform alternative audit procedure. If you have obtained audit evidence that, sorry, not alternative, additional audit procedure, additional, extra, additional, not alternative, because here we have obtained we have obtained the psi, we have obtained psi with respect to misstatements, and therefore we will now perform additional audit procedure if the auditor concludes that misstatement exists. Yes, if the misstatement is there, then communicate the same to TCWG in accordance with SA 450. Do you remember SA 450 with respect to SA, with respect to misstatement, IMIDA, right? Evaluation of materiality in identified misstatement, IMIDA, during audit, right? Misstatement, evaluation of misstatement identified during the audit, evaluation of misstatements identified during the audit, IMIDA. So you have to evaluate misstatement whether it is material or not, and then accordingly communicate to management to correct, right? Management can refuse to correct, then you have to go to TCWG and all that phenomenon we go on through in SA 450. Why they have given here reference? Because you think that there is a misstatement in opening balance and that misstatement could be material. If it is material, then you have to tell the management that to correct or rectify the same. If management refuses, then you have to again ask to TCWG to tell the management to rectify the same. Still not the same, then you can obtain written representation confirmation and everything, all sort of those procedures. Account apart from your misstatements in opening balances, apart from your misstatement in opening balances, we have to also, one other objective was to see whether accounting policies reflect or consistently being applied or not. Consistent appliance should be there of the accounting policy, right, in the current period, or if there is any changes, then there should be accounted for, the changes should be accounted for, and it should also be properly justified in your presentation and disclosure, should be properly disclosed as well if there is any change in the accounting policy. However, we should tell what we have consistently applied in current period financial statement. Last point, conclusion and reporting. So this has been asked recently many a times, could be asked to you in exam also. If the question you can see here, the question you can see, once read the question, you'll have to write the entire standard for this question, because the standard procedures you have to write entirely, and then they are specifically asking what will be your approach in drafting your final audit report if after performing all the initial audit procedure in as per SA 510 you are not satisfied about the correctness of opening balance. So the way of drafting the question is a bit strange, bit new, and you have to remember that we have to write reporting also, because they are not able to obtain psi, or sorry, they are not satisfied with the correctness of the opening balance. So in this case, you have to, if you are unable to obtain psi regarding any opening balance, right, then you can qualify or disclaim, because you are not able to obtain, right. So it could either be pervasive to the financial statement as a whole, or it could be just material but not pervasive. If it is material but not pervasive, then of course qualification. But if it is material and pervasive, and this is a case of limitation, right, you are not able to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence, you are not able to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence, that means what, you will then have to disclaim. No audit evidence is there, right. An opening balance contained misstatement materially affect the current period financial statement and not properly accounted for and disclosed. So qualified or adverse opinion, then you will give what, adverse opinion. That means what they are saying, that you have obtained psi, that yes, opening balance does contain a misstatement, and that could materially affect my financial statement. If not properly accounted for and disclosed, then in that case, when you have obtained psi, then you can what, do qualified or adverse. And if the accounting policy with respect, not with respect to misstatement, remember we have two objectives, twin objectives in SA 520. Remember this always. So whenever you write the answer, you have to also write with respect to the second objective. So accounting policy, if they have not applied accounting policy consistently or change, not proper accounted, then also you can qualify or give your adverse opinion, not disclaimer, qualified or adverse here, right? Qualified or adverse opinion. So just remember, this is the main part of this answer. So it's very easy. If you are unable to obtain psi, then you can either qualify or disclaim. If you have obtained a misstatement, you have obtained psi with respect to misstatements in the financial statement in the opening balance, then again you can either qualify or adverse. And similarly, if the accounting policies are not properly consistently properly applied, and also the change in accounting policy is not properly disclosed, then you can give your qualification or adverse opinion, doesn't matter. Okay, go through this other 2-3 questions, specifically this RTP number 18. Go through this right now, and then we will wind up for today. Go through this right now. RTP November 18 question. Yes, gone through. It's simple, same, right? What we have gone through, the same. The basic standards. Done. So remember again, reminding chapter 3, chapter 4. Test. Start preparing from today only. Chapter 3 and chapter 4 you have today, tomorrow, and day after tomorrow. The test will be on Saturday. Tomorrow the class will be on same time, 7 a.m. Saturday the timing will be not in morning but in afternoon or evening. I'll let you know the time on Saturday. Morning may I had to go for beach cleaning. So we'll take the class in afternoon. Fine, everyone. Okay na? Dhanlakshmi. अच्छा कुछ questions. Let's ask few questions. Yes, फटाफट से answer me, Avija. फटाफट से answer me. Reliability of audit evidence. Reliability of audit evidence.
Um, any audit evidence obtained from indirect independent source is more reliable than obtaining it from a dependent source.
Hmm.
And audit evidences in documentary form is more reliable, and
Hmm.
the document should be in original form, and the audit evidence obtained directly from the external party is more reliable.
Can it be the internal generated audit evidence? Can it be more reliable?
No, uh, the internal generated uh, evidence is more reliable when the controls are effective.
Yeah, so controls should be abundant. Controls are effective, then yeah, it could also be reliable. Then Lakshmi, tell me what are the audit procedures to be performed in the case of claims and litigations. Claims and litigations. Today only we did first question today. Bolo bolo. Don't see. Speak whatever you can. It was simple if you remember the SFM knowledge of IRR.
Am I audible?
Yeah, now it's bolo.
Inquiry, review,
Review what? An inquiry of whom? Inquiry with me.
nahi, inquiry of management and others.
like legal counselors and all, and
Hmm.
review will like minutes of meeting,
Of shareholder meeting,
meeting of TCWG, board
board meeting
meeting,
and all. हाँ,
ha, and review of legal expenses,
ठीक है.
ledger account. Ha.
So, then procedural part, you should communicate with external legal,
External, yes.
and later on, if they are not professionally or regulatorily allowed to communicate with you, then
Then we have to perform alternative audit procedures.
and if you're not able to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence from alternative audit procedures,
Then we will first inquire with the management, and okay, sorry, we have to modify the report.
so you can qualify accordingly,
Yes.
right?
Hmm.
सर सैटरडे को एडवांस आईटीटी का टेस्ट है मेरा.
Audit consideration in the case of sub-service organization. Nupur, do you remember? Sub-service organization के case में what audit procedures you have to perform when you have suppose outsourced certain services to another entity, and another entity has further outsourced to another entity, then in that case you have to, what procedure you have to perform then in the case of sub-service organization, SSO. बोलो. STIR, yes, Dhanlakshmi, we have to write that, but apart from that, extra additional points in the case of SSO, sub-service organization. Yes, Nupur, are you able to recall or not? No? Don't you recall inclusive method, exclusive method?
हाँ हाँ.
हाँ, so that was there ना. If the service organization की audit report में included the SSO के controls, have they included the SSO, sub service organization के controls है क्या? Then we'll call it as inclusive. If they do not include it in their type 1 type 2 report, then we'll call it as carve out method,
Carve out method.
right? So in any way, it could be inclusive method or exclusive method, doesn't matter. What they need to include is a description of the controls of the sub-service organization. So anyway, the service organization auditor type 1 type 2 report, what they will be giving to me, even if they include the controls, inclusive method or carve out method, doesn't matter, they will have to describe about the controls at the SSO. Controls will be described. But now the point comes whether the type 1 or type 2 excludes or includes. If it excludes, then you can apply the SA 450 requirements. Do you remember SA 450 requirements? Yes, Nupur. Requirements of SA 450, how can you check upon? You can first of all obtain type 1 or type 2 report. If you are not able to obtain type 1 type 2 report, then I told you to बोलो बोलो contact ना.
Sir, it will be SA 450 or 402.
402, sorry 402. You can apply with 402 requirement, and then you can do what? 402 requirement will be what? You can obtain type 1 type 2 report from the SSO, or you can try contacting them, or if you are not able to contact, then you can visit the premises of the SSO, and if still not, then auditor or your another auditor can visit. Yeah, Nupur?
Yes.
Correct. फटाफट से सुनेश्वरन मुझे बताओ. सुनेश्वरन, misstatements, sources of misstatements, from where could you say that these are the sources of misstatements?
Omission of disclosures of amount,
Omissions.
in
Yeah.
inaccuracy in data,
हाँ, correct.
judgment regarding the accounting estimates,
Okay.
uh,
A E I O U. Vowels
I
था. Vowels था.
incorrect accounting estimates.
No, accounting estimate already done. AE. I inaccuracy in data processing. Inaccurate data. O for omission. U for unreasonable judgments done by the management. Unreasonable judgment वाला था ना एक point.
Right.
Unreasonability in judgments. Right? Yeah, Krupali, tell me factors warranting retest of controls. Factors requiring you to retest the controls. Krupali.
One minute.
Factors warranting
Yes.
retest of controls. ये तो you should recall ना because
So
all this. हाँ.
deficit control environment,
Yeah.
deficit control environment,
Deficient control environment.
deficit monitoring of control,
Deficient monitoring of
deficit
control.
monitoring of control. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Significant manual elements, personal changes,
Hmm.
circumstance change,
Hmm.
and general IT control deficit.
Correct. So Krupali, everyone, haven't you seen that video after Pakistan losing to India? That fan, Pakistani fan.
Yes, sir.
ये वीडियो देखे नहीं हो तो देख लो एक बार. Then you will definitely try recall the answer. So kind of that only. लोग बदल गए, हालात बदल गए. He said that. लोग बदल गए. Personal changes, circumstances changes, significant manual element involved in the relevant controls, right? And then deficient से 3 पॉइंट थे. Deficient से control environment, deficient monitoring of control and deficient ITGC. यस, अपना रैप वाला आंसर थे. 2 आंसर अपने रैप में याद किए थे. डू यू रिमेंबर द आंसर्स दैट वी हैव लर्नड इन रैप kind of way in rap? Yes, anyone? हाँ. Engagement, management, establishment requirement, ownership, FRF, reporting requirement. Kapil started rapping. But apart from this rap, Kapil, we have also done one more answer. Engagement, management, establishment requirement, ownership, FRF, reporting requirement. Ownership, FRF, reporting requirement. So these are what changes. If there, do you need to draft a new engagement letter, right? In the case of recurring audits, that was the question. Apart from this, one more rep. So I am trying to deliberately ask the way so that you tend to remember. Frequency, length of time, correct. Frequency, length of time, rate of deviation, relevance and reliability. What was the question? But frequency, length of time, rate of deviation, relevance and reliability. What was the question? But Pooja, test of control में क्या धनलक्ष्मी? What? Nature of TOC, extent of TOC, timing of TOC, matters considered in TOC, determining extent of TOC, correct. Dhanlakshmi and Kapil. Extent means what? In detail. How much in depth extent of TOC are you going to do? Not in nature. Nature wise, what nature of test of control is same, like we have to check what operating effectiveness of control. Timing could be either throughout the audit or as at a particular point of time. That means as a 31st March we are checking the control was there or not, or we could also check that control was implemented throughout the year or not. And then comes NTE, E for extent. So extent के अंदर when you are going to determine the extent in detail, how much in depthness are you going to do the test of control. Then comes the points like frequency, whether the controls are very frequent. Monthly controls hai kya? That means what? In a year it is going to happen 12 times. So frequency will tell you that okay, 12 times the control is implemented in a year, so we should at least take 3 to 4 samples to check the test, to test the controls, right? So the extent of test of control will depend upon the frequency of control. How frequent the control is happening throughout the year? Is it monthly? Is it weekly? Is it daily? Is it quarterly? Is it annually? Right? Frequency, length of time, how much time period does it covers the control, length of time, rate of deviation, are we expecting any deviation already? Then we might have to in depthly or detailed में deviation test करना पड़ सकता है, test of controls, rate of deviation and relevance and reliability, how relevant is that and how reliable is our internal controls for mitigating our risk, right? Fine. So we will see tomorrow, go through the revision again, revise again and again, and revise accordingly like the way we are revising. So ये अपन ने IRR पे 2 आंसर याद किए थे. So recall that, you can write it somewhere that IRR we have 2 answers. So you can just try to make some notes which you could know, think out of the box somewhat. You can try making notes by way something new. So IRR we had 2 answers. One was with respect to litigation and claims, and the other one was management refusing to allow auditor. Management refusing to allow auditor for external confirmation. Then you can write IRR के यहाँ पे क्या कहते हैं, यहाँ पे रिव्यू था, इंक्वायरी था, यहाँ पे भी इंक्वायरी था, बट यहाँ आर पे रिव्यू नहीं था. वी हैव हियर आर फॉर risk of material misstatement and one more R of risk of fraud, right? So you can try to remember like this. IRR से 2 आंसर थे, रैप से 2 आंसर थे. So in a way you will then try to effectively revise. ठीक है? We will then meet tomorrow. मजा आ गया कपिल को? Kapil, I am going to your show this Sunday maybe. Kapil Sharma ka show. I have got the passes.
संडे भी छुट्टी है मतलब.
No, no. Already काफी छुट्टी हो गई है. चलो.
Bye, sir.
Bye bye.
बाय सर.